Hello, everyone. Greetings and welcome to the North American Invasive Species Management Association's monthly webinar. My name is Elizabeth Brown, and I serve as your Government Relations Director here at NASMA. Please take a minute to say hello in the chat and share with us where you are watching from. Thank you so much for being with us today. Our webinar today is titled Preventing the Spread of Invasive Species through PlayCleanGo and WorkCleanGo. Before we begin, I'd like to share a bit about NASMA for those of you that don't know us well yet. So our mission here at NASMA is to empower the management of invasive species in North America. Just a little bit about who we are. We have a 16-member volunteer board of directors. We have 10 committees with active subcommittees. We have 6 team members here at NASMA, over 750 members now. Thank you to each and every one of you for being a part of our community and becoming a NASMA member. We have over 10,000 subscribers and 38,000 social media followers. So be sure to, if you're not following us, you can find us on Facebook. You can find PlayCleanGo on Instagram. So take a look, find our Facebook page, NASMA.org, or Invasive Species Week, or PlayCleanGo, and follow us on Facebook. Okay, a little bit about what we do, our programming. We are the stewards of international standards, including our mapping data standards for invasive species and our certified weed-free products program that includes forage, gravel, and mulch. Advocacy and information is a foundational element of our programming here. We just completed an outstanding National Invasive Species Week in February, thanks to each and every one of you that participated. You're going to learn all about PlayCleanGo and WorkCleanGo today, so I will not share anything about that. I will save it all for Lindsay. And professional development webinars just like this one. We have our EdMap Summit coming up April 20th. You can get more information on that on our website. Our annual conference is going to be in October this year in Nebraska. And take a look on our website, nasma.org at Invasives U. It's our new online asynchronous learning library for invasive species managers. I know everybody's gearing up for field season right now. Some of you, it's warm enough where you live where you're already out in the field, but for others, they're prepping. And so this is a great way to get your temps, your volunteers, and your seasonal staff all trained up and on the same page before they hit the field. Okay, like I said, our annual conference is co-sponsored by the Nebraska Invasive Species Council. We are so excited to go to Lincoln, October 17th through 20th. You can get all the information online at conference.nasma.org. Sponsorship and opportunities are currently available, so get in on that early. Okay, for those of you that are not members, we have 3 membership opportunities for you. You can learn about that on our website. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We're happy to talk them through with you and determine what the right option is. We can't do what we do without our members, so we invite each and every one of you to please become a member of our community. And we also have partnership options for larger organizations if that might be appropriate for you. All right, so again, our mission is to empower the management of invasive species across North America. Thank you for being with us today. I would like to introduce our speaker. I am just so impressed with Lindsay. She has been on our team since November, and we just couldn't be more blessed to have them as a part of our team. So you have NASMA's very own Lindsay Cathcart today. I am so excited that they are here to share their work on the PlayCleanGo program with you. Lindsay works to provide opportunities for recreationists to prevent the spread of invasive species and empower them to incorporate an ethic of stewardship in their favorite outdoor activities. Lindsay has a background in entomology and conservation and has work experience in invasion research, environmental education, and community science and invasive plant management. So, Lindsay, why don't you go ahead and share your screen? I'm going to stop sharing. For everyone watching, please be sure to put your questions in the Q&A box, and you'll be able to see what other people put in there. So go ahead and take a look. And if your question's already been asked, you can just give it a thumbs up, promote it to the top of the list. If you haven't already, take a minute to say hello in the chat. Tell us where you're watching from. And what else am I forgetting with our housekeeping here? We will have a couple of polls throughout the presentation. We'll let you know when those are coming up for you. Okay, with that, I am going to mute out. Your presentation looks great. And thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. I'm excited to be here with you all today. I'm going to be talking a bit about preventing the spread of invasive species through PlayCleanGo and WorkCleanGo. And like Elizabeth said, I'm going to use a couple of polls throughout the presentation. I want this to be an opportunity for you all to learn, but I certainly want to learn from your perspectives. And you can see my email there at the bottom of the screen, playcleango@nasma.org. If you've got ideas, perspectives that you want to share, you are welcome to drop those there at any point. I'm always looking to chat with our partners and our potential future partners to see how we can make this program as effective as possible. So super happy to be here. I'm going to start off today. I'll go through some nuts and bolts. What is PlayCleanGo? A little bit about the history of the program and how it functions, just to get everybody kind of on the same page. Then I'll talk about why this is important and the state of outdoor recreation today. And then we'll talk a bit about how you can use our tools to empower a land stewardship ethic in your communities. So right away, we're going to drop our first poll here. I just want to get an idea of everyone's background and familiarity. So the question is, what is your exposure to the PlayCleanGo program? Either I'm a PlayCleanGo partner, I share the campaign over social media or other communication channels, or I've participated in a PlayCleanGo Awareness Week, or I have heard of PlayCleanGo, but I haven't incorporated it in my work, or I know very little about PlayCleanGo, and that's why I'm here at this webinar. So just take a second, figure out which of those fits you best. And there we go. Before we get too deep into the weeds here, I just want to recognize those who have contributed to or partnered with PlayCleanGo since its inception. This is not a list of every partner to the program, but these are some of the major contributors who have provided financial or in-kind support that have helped us to spread the message across North America. In particular, we have received a lot of generous grant funding from USDA APHIS, and we are currently working with funding through the bipartisan infrastructure law through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So shout out to those groups and all of these others on the page you see here. And it looks like we have our poll results. We've got a good chunk of folks here today have heard of the program or don't have much exposure. So that is really awesome. That shows me that we've got a lot of opportunity to grow here. So thank you for filling that out. But now I just want to take a few steps back. At the top of the webinar, many of you dropped a message in the chat introducing yourself and where you're from, maybe geographically or professionally. But I just want to ask you to take a moment to think about why you're at this webinar today. And beyond wanting to learn about this program and how you can get involved, right? You may work directly with invasive species or maybe with natural resources, agriculture, environmental ed, communications, or maybe you are just a passionate individual who cares about your local natural areas and this sounded interesting to you. But I'm going to take a big swing and say that the 174 participants we have on this call today have had an experience recreating in the outdoors at one point in your life. Maybe someone took you out fishing for the first time as a kid, or you went on your first camping trip with a scout group, mountain biking. Maybe it was only in the last couple of years you had your first experience. A friend invited you for a socially distanced hike to catch up, right? And so today, as you're attending this webinar and beyond in your future work with PlayCleanGo, I invite you to bring your complete perspective to the table, not only as the professional that you are, but also as somebody who probably enjoys spending time outdoors in one way or another, so that we can make this as powerful and effective a campaign as possible. I'll start by sharing a little bit about my background and how it ties in with PlayCleanGo. I've been with NASMA, like Elizabeth mentioned, for just almost 5 months now. I came from a role in invasive plant management and forest restoration, but I've been working outdoors in natural settings like forests, wetlands, and dunes as well as horticultural and agroforestry settings for my entire career. I was a field biologist and entomologist. I conducted biological and even did some invasion biology research work related to the bugs pictured here, which I'm sure many of you recognize as the spotted lanternfly. I've spent many years of my career in the field, boots on the ground, in work that was in some way related to invasive species. And it was always common sense for me to make sure I never left any of my tools, any trash, shredded, granola bar wrappers or flagging tape. I knew not to leave those things on the ground at my sites before leaving and heading to another one. But nobody ever stopped and told me to think about cleaning my shoes and my gear in between visiting different sites. And some of these places were just nasty thickets full of seedy invasive plants. And so while I was careful about not trampling the delicate vegetation, I didn't even consider that I may have been moving invasive propagules across the landscape, things like seeds and tubers and other fragments. And that was me, somebody who has a background in conservation and who was studying and working with invasive species. And so I just think that really illustrates the education and awareness gap that exists for the role that all people who work and play in the outdoors hold in preventing the spread of invasive species. So now we will dive right in. What is PlayCleanGo? PlayCleanGo was launched by the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources with federal support in 2012, and it is NASMA's official branded, registered, trademark protected education and outreach program aimed at recreationists that uses a community-based social marketing strategy. Through NASMA, PlayCleanGo, and partner organization communication channels and recreation access points, the campaign aims to affect behavior change, promote awareness, understanding, and cooperation. And this is achieved with a positive message that resonates with recreationists and field workers' values, as well as a clear call to action to clean boots and other outdoor gear to prevent the spread of invasive species. PlayCleanGo connects with what recreationists believe and value. So recreationists, however they enjoy the outdoors, they inherently want to do the right thing to protect their favorite place. So that way they can keep coming back and keep enjoying it. And PlayCleanGo informs them how to do that in a positive way. The campaign seeks to change recreational behavior by removing perceived prevention barriers. And so that is done in the form of educational resources and physical tools. PlayCleanGo teaches the prevention behavior, so it provides the recreationists the opportunity to learn the simple steps that they can take to prevent invasive species. And it's powerful because it is consistent across multiple jurisdictions. One of the greatest indicators of PlayCleanGo's reach are the 700 plus organizations across North America, including major federal land agencies, state and county noxious weed supervisors and natural resource divisions, land trusts, other nonprofits, variety of different partners who use PlayCleanGo messaging in their outreach and educational efforts. And we only hope to grow in participation. So that's just a little bit nuts and bolts about PlayCleanGo, just so we're all on the same page. Now, it wouldn't be an invasive species webinar, would it, if I didn't bring up this image here, the invasion curve, which shows the phases of invasion over time, where exponential growth and spread of an infestation is associated with increasing costs for control. And the further you move to the right here in this graphic, into the yellow and the orange and eventually into red, the less likely and eventually impossible it will be to ever achieve eradication of that invasive. So the point I want to illustrate here is that the most economical and safest way to manage invasive species is by prevention. Every interaction that each person has with our landscape, whether it is through recreation or for work, carries a probability of vectoring the propagules of an invasive species. That could be sticky seeds attaching to socks or pet coats. It could be tubers stuck in the mud that gets crammed into the tread of your shoes, especially this time of year for some of us who live in mud season climates. Plant fragments that get stuck to the ground tarp of a tent, or maybe in the tread of the tires of your work vehicle or mountain bike or ATV. They could be stuck to the side of a canoe or a boat. They could get picked up and crammed into the hooves of a horse, snagged onto climbing crash pads or ropes. The list goes on and on and on. But for each person who is exposed to the message of PlayCleanGo, that the probability of species introduction is reduced. So we want to limit the establishment of new infestations. That's what we mean by prevention. So we certainly have a lot of work to do if we want to completely eliminate this pathway for invasion. Yeah, there's that prevention there. So why is this important now? According to an article published in 2021 by Taff et al. In the journal Land, as much as half of the US adult population participates in outdoor recreation at least once a month, which was surprising to me. That was higher than I was expecting. And as much as a fifth of that audience may be new to outdoor recreation since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. So that is over 250 million people. We're talking about potentially more than 500 million boots and wheels out on the landscape. And each time one of those pairs of boots travels from one trail to another, lies the potential for that invasion curve. And therefore, there is also the opportunity for prevention. And this is so timely because of that boost in recreation seen as a consequence of the pandemic. There are a lot of people out there who they're still very green. And so they're still very receptive to behavior change. And so we've got a pretty captive audience here to intercept with our message. This is where you come in. So whether you are the leader of, or you work in a fieldworking profession, or you represent an organization who manages land or interacts with recreationists, or maybe you're an organizer and an activist in your community, we want to give you the tools to remove the barriers to the behavior of cleaning gear in the form of education and communication materials, physical tools, and a larger campaign to amplify this work. So we're going to talk a bit about what those tools look like now. So we'll start with the education outreach component here. PlayCleanGo has free graphics, printable handouts that your organization can use or that you can use as an individual. You can add your logo to expand on this consistent messaging. We use these graphics on our social media channels, and over time, our PlayCleanGo socials have reached almost 9 million users through these graphics, which is really exciting, as well as other media. We've got videos, similar resources, and they're all formatted for different purposes. We've got flyers that look really nice if you print them out. We have rack cards that you can use to hand out if you're tabling at an event. We've got different dimensions of graphics to use for social media that look good on Facebook versus Instagram. So we've got a nice pool of resources out there for you to use. It's really easy to just kind of plug those in on your platform. We've also developed a brand standard for PlayCleanGo. So I mentioned earlier the importance of consistency. So we have developed this standard to include colors and fonts that were chosen in order to maximize engagement by readers and users. There is power in consistency, right? If you go to a national park, you know you're in a national park because you see the arrowhead on the materials that they give you on the trailheads, right? There's that recognition element because of the consistent branding. So we've developed this standard so that across the diverse landscape of North America, there is consistency in PlayCleanGo. And here's why that's important. So imagine you have, well, I'll just set this, you don't have to imagine. We've got a whole bunch of interpretive signage and boot brush stations across Yellowstone National Park. It's a place that people travel from all over the world to go, certainly all over North America. If a family goes out to Yellowstone one year for vacation, maybe they're going to go for a hike and they notice some of those signs and they stop and read them. And because they're on their vacation, they're in Yellowstone, they're in this place that has kind of, big significance to them, they are probably going to be pretty receptive to that message. They're going to want to be careful and protect those natural resources because of the historic nature and the power that that name holds, right? So maybe they'll stop, they'll read the signs, maybe it'll kind of sink in the messaging, the concept, maybe not, right? There's a lot of sign fatigue out there. You go to a trailhead and there's a bulletin board with like 15 different flyers. Not everybody's going to stop and read them all. I understand that. But so then maybe that family goes home after their vacation and back to their regular lives, back to their regular habits and behaviors. And then maybe they go out for a hike at their local like backyard preserve or park, the place close to them that they love. And they see that same sign with those same bright colors and other design elements. They are more likely to remember that message that they picked up in Yellowstone, and they're going to have that kind of association with their natural areas that are in their backyard, places that don't have necessarily the kind of gravitas, I suppose, as Yellowstone. But then they're going to remember that message and they're going to be more likely to behave appropriately in that smaller park as they would have been to be in a big famous national park. So if you do decide to create your materials, that's certainly an option. We've got lots of partners who use our brand kit. They incorporate the guidelines specified here, and they can kind of create resources that are relevant specifically to their audiences, whether it's graphics for social media and other communications, maybe a video or a presentation to deliver, or a flyer or sign, something else to print out and look at in person. So you can use this guideline to make sure that the brand and the logos fit both our standards and whatever your organization's standards are. And obviously there might be some need to navigate a little bit of conversation there, as we're working currently with some of our federal agencies in the DOI. We are working on kind of adapting some of these standards so that way they fit both what we are looking to achieve and what our partners are looking to achieve. So we're not doing this, we don't have these standards as a barrier to you adopting the program. We don't want to make this like one more step for you. Rather, we just want to make sure that this is a consistent message and campaign. So you are always welcome to send me an email with a draft of a flyer or an image, whatever it is, just to make sure that it's in alignment with the standard. I get a lot of those. I have honestly never had one that I've looked at and thought that it was not in alignment with the standard. So they're pretty straightforward, pretty easy to follow. So this is a pretty important development in the program. Here, I'm just going to click through a couple different examples of the graphics we have available. Like I said, different dimensions, different levels of information for whatever the right use is. And on this image, I'll just note something that I'll talk about a little bit later, and that's our collaboration with Nature Conservancy's Don't Move Firewood, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's Stop Aquatic Hitchhikers, and USDA APHIS's Hungry Pests. And so those are other campaigns, other pathway prevention programs that aim to spread awareness of the role that each individual plays in preventing the spread of invasive species. So PlayCleanGo is a little bit more specific to folks recreating on the terrestrial landscape. We've got Stop Aquatic Hitchhikers does a really good job doing more direct engagement with folks recreating on the water. And certainly Don't Move Firewood is always a good reminder to get your firewood locally when you go camping. Just a couple more graphics. Things here, like on the left is a rack card, on the right, a flyer. So similar kind of content and audiences here, but just a little bit different the way they present the information. And I also want to talk here for a moment about WorkCleanGo. So WorkCleanGo is sort of a partner campaign to PlayCleanGo, but it's geared toward folks who interact with the landscape at work. So this ranges from construction to agriculture to horticulture to road crews, people working on right-of-ways, to folks perhaps like yourselves and like myself, like I said at the beginning, people like biologists, natural resources technicians, invasive species managers, researchers, anybody who's out there, literal boots on the ground. We're looking into creating some really nice, big, easy to read stickers or magnets for work vehicles to remind folks of best practices. But like I said at the top, and we'll continue to encourage, if you have ideas on how to spread this messaging in some of these different field working communities or tools that would be helpful to have, don't hesitate to reach out. But maybe you're sitting in on this call, and at the beginning of when we sent out that first poll, you said, I know about PlayCleanGo, I haven't really incorporated it, because maybe you are an invasive species management professional. Your job is just going out in the field and doing work either alone or with a crew. But a way that you can be involved is you can remind those that do this work with you of the best practices, to always start and end with clean gear in between sites. I know you get super sweaty, you've got like a 40-pound backpack on full of herbicide, you've got a lot going on in your head. It can be really easy to not take that 30 seconds to clean your shoes, your tires, whatever it is. But incorporating these practices in your work is a really good way to be involved. So while we're on the topic of educational resources, especially related to our fieldworking communities and folks, I'll just drop a reminder for the upcoming EdMap Summit on April 20th from 12 to 4 Central. This is hosted by NASMA and organized by the University of Georgia Center for Invasive Species and Ecosystem Health. This is going to be a really cool opportunity to learn about EdMaps. There are a couple of prerequisite office hours that you can either attend live on Zoom or watch the recordings of, but this is going to go into a little bit more depth than past summits have. So if you use EdMaps or you don't, but you think you'd like to learn more, I'll just put this out there as another educational opportunity. And I believe Elizabeth will drop the links for these in the chat. So enough of my EdMaps spiel there. Meet Steward. We have to talk about Steward next. Steward was created to be the official spokescreature for PlayCleanGo, reminding others to be good stewards of their favorite natural areas. He is a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot, and we've incorporated him into some of the graphics in that graphic library. He also has his own section in the brand standards on how you can use Steward. So that is really a lot of fun. He's a great way to get kids excited about cleaning their shoes. But honestly, people of all ages, kids of all ages, I should say, can get excited about Stu. Yeah, if you're ever trying to get people to stop and talk to you about your work, I cannot recommend highly enough having an 8-foot tall cardboard cutout of a Sasquatch. People will definitely ask questions. So he's fun, and that really embodies what this campaign is all about, right? It's a positive message. We want to empower others to make choices to protect the things that they love, and to do so in a fun way. I love to see our partners using Steward and the brand with other graphics to create materials relevant to their organizations and their audiences. And it's great to use some humor, right? Like if you've got an idea for like a funny flyer that we haven't created, you can do so, right? Like that's going to draw people in. Creativity is definitely always welcome at the table with this campaign. And so this is what participation can look like and what impact can also look like. So just sharing these resources and messaging through your communication channels. This was a post, I really like this image that this partner created, kind of highlighting what is actually going on in the tread of those shoes, the things that might be carried. And I really wanted to include this because there's a comment here. So this organization shared this photo and somebody commented, "Wow, I've never thought about this before. Thank you for this tip." Boom. Like that's what we're trying to do, right? We're just trying, at the very least, we want to fill that awareness gap so that way folks will change their behavior in the future so we can eradicate this pathway for invasion. And we use hashtag PlayCleanGo. Always love to see our partners sharing materials there. So that was a look at our education and outreach tools, but we also offer some really neat actual physical tools through the NASBA shop to get prevention and management products into your hands. So I'll just kind of highlight a few of those. The first here, we have this interpretive signage, which is available with or without a boot brush at the bottom. They're customizable. You can play around with different characters to include. You can highlight certain species that are relevant to your area, or you can have a map on them, or just some basic information about invasive species. This is a really fun product. We're really excited. Like I mentioned at the beginning, working with a grant funded through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law to get 102 boot brush stations with interpretive signage out at trailheads across National Park Service, Bureau of Reclamation, the wildlife refuges, all of our DOI land management agencies, Bureau of Indian Affairs. So really love to see these out there on the landscape. And what else? We've got WorkCleanGo, we've got some stickers, but like I said, we want to figure out how we can best get this message into your hands, into your team's hands. So always open to ideas. The Buckthorn Blaster is a great product. It's a low drift alternative herbicide application device. The handheld boot brush, which is super popular. Got mine right here. Maybe some of you have one. Great for sticking in your backpack, so that way you always have something that you can brush the dirt out of your shoes, clean the tread or your horse's hooves. So great for a recreationist, also great for a field worker, something that might be nice for technicians to have available for use. The Burr Paw, this is a great product. It's like a rag that pulls seeds off of your clothes and burrs, sticky things, which I'm sure some of you out there can lament how annoying it can be to pick all those out one at a time. There we go. We have different components of the boot brush stations available. So maybe you have a boot brush station at a trailhead and you find that the bristles on the brush, they've been out there for a few years, they've gotten a lot of use. We've got different like a la carte ways to replace those and keep them looking good and working well. So these are just some of those physical tools. It certainly doesn't encapsulate everything that's out there, but just some things to think about. Here is some of our partners from the Kenai Watershed Forum installing a boot brush station that they had purchased with interpretive signage that they customized to highlight a few of the common invasive plants in their area. Another post, this time from the Invasive Species Network, coming off the heels of National Invasive Species Awareness Week last month. And that is because PlayCleanGo Awareness Week is coming up. It's only March now, but it's kind of right around the corner with how time seems to move these days. From June 3rd to 10th, 2023. So that starts on National Trails Day. This is our 5th annual Awareness Week campaign. It's right at the start of summer. People are getting out. They are enjoying their natural areas. They might be traveling and going to new places or just enjoying their local natural areas. And this is your opportunity to use your voice to amplify the message of PlayCleanGo with thousands of others. So we have a toolkit, we have press release and template documents that you can use, social media and communications copy, sample posts. We've got materials that are in English and Spanish, graphics that are translated. We also host an event calendar page. So if you are hosting an event during that week related to invasive species, whether it is like a volunteer weed pull kind of an event, or an educational program, a webinar, something like that, you can send me the information for that event and we will publicize it on our calendar and try to get as many eyes on the work that your organization is doing as possible. And so right here, and so we're still kind of formulating all of our resources for the awareness week and the different ways to be involved. So if you want to go ahead, I think Elizabeth is going to add a question or something in the chat or the Q&A here. But go ahead and provide an email address if you want to hear some more information about participating in PlayCleanGo Awareness Week. Okay. We're almost wrapped up here, moving pretty fast. These are some kind of lofty goals. This is not a one-year plan. This is a vision for the future. But we envision a future where all outdoor recreationists are aware of the role they play in stewarding the places they love and have access to the tools they need to do so. We envision a future where the message of WorkCleanGo becomes a standard for field working communities. A future where every trailhead in North America has a boot brush and educational resources available for recreationist use. And this is especially where you all come in. We envision a future where we can continue to grow our partnership to include the diversity of voices who are impacted by this work. And I will just wrap it up here with something I've heard from Doug Tallamy many times, which I think really captures the purpose of PlayCleanGo and the impact that we aim to have. He says that knowledge generates interest and interest generates compassion. So for each person who is exposed to this campaign, this program, who receives knowledge of invasive species and the threats that they pose to their favorite natural areas and activities, they will develop compassion for the landscape in the form of a stewardship ethic and a desire to share this for generations to come. So that is just about all I have for you all today. It moved pretty quickly. My email again, playcleango@nasma.org. Please be in touch, follow up if you want to talk further. But I think we can go ahead and I'd love to take any questions.
That was wonderful. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And we are seeing a lot of emails coming in the chat. So lots of interested folks, which is awesome. All right. And we do have a couple of questions for you. So friends watching, sorry, I guess my webcam moved on me. There we go. Friends watching, if you have questions for Lindsay, go ahead and put them in the Q&A box. If you want more information on PlayCleanGo Awareness Week, drop your email in the chat. Okay. So let's see. Folks, I think I know the answer to this one, but do we have to make our own steward stand-ups for ourselves, or can we buy them from you?
Yes, unfortunately, we do not have the steward cardboard cutout in our store. If you would really like to do so, we can talk more about that. But yes, that is not currently an offering that we have.
I'm emailing our shop manager as we speak to let her know that folks want those. There were also some other good ideas, bumper stickers with like the logo and the website. So if you have ideas of products that you think that we should make available that you want at your tabling events, throw them in the chat for us, okay?
Yeah.
How would I incorporate this as a standard for my company? Can I put the logo on my website, on social media, and my work trucks? Can I advertise that my company follows the PlayCleanGo standards?
Yeah,
great question.
Yeah, that is a good question. And so there are some different ways. So there are to be a part of this program. We do have We have a $25 toolkit that you can buy, and that is what gives you permission to use the logos and the branding guidelines in your work for a year. We do also have, like I mentioned, like the graphics library that is full of freebies. Anybody can access them. You don't need to pay for them. But so if you would like to have access to the brand itself and use the brand as your organization, then you would just need to purchase that starter kit. Yep. And thank you, Elizabeth, for dropping that link.
I'm also throwing in here the freebie link. So friends watching, there's really two places. So the playcleango.org, there's a dedicated website on playcleango.org for, if you have a boot brush station, you can put it on the map and include it in the national inventory, and you can get all the Awareness Week info. There's also info on NASMA.org under programs PlayCleanGo. So that's where our outreach freebies are and our starter kit is. And then as you grow in membership and partnership, you actually get more PlayCleanGo benefits. So take a look at those pages too. So, and if you have questions, email playcleango@nasma.org. We'll hop on the phone. We'll get you all sorted out and make sure you have everything you need.
Yeah, I know. There's several tiers of different libraries and accesses and permissions. So I'm always happy to walk folks through that and make sure that they know what they have access to. So yeah, definitely.
Okay. Can an organization build their own boot brush station and then use your signage?
Yes, there are some different ways to do this. Actually, we have a very great relationship with folks in Wyoming, and they received some funding to put a bunch of boot brush stations out across the state at some of their county parks. And they wanted to maximize the quantity of these stations that they could install. And so they figured out, like, if they kind of went through a third party and they pieced together their own sign and boot brush, that they would be able to create like a certain quantity that they couldn't if they just went straight through our shop. And so I worked with them. They've just been providing me like an image to review just to make sure that everything looks good, is in alignment with the standards. Just made sure that they had purchased access to the toolkit. They had that permission to use the brand. But yes, certainly you've got many ways to go about that. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, do you know of grant funding where land trusts or other organizations could apply for funding to put their boot brush stations out on the trailheads?
So I can't name a grant off the top of my head, but what I would recommend would be looking at grants maybe related to your watershed or your region. So I know we've had folks from like around the Great Lakes interested in getting more, and so we've sent them towards some Great Lakes specific conservation related grants. We would love to help support you in that kind of work. So if you are looking into applying for a grant and you want some guidance in doing that application so that you can get more of these stations, that's definitely something that we can talk about together and make sure that that's feasible for you. Yeah.
Great, thank you. All right, bumper stickers. I think that's a great idea. Thank you for that. How does an organization receive PlayCleanGo boot brushes or other swag?
Well, there are a few ways. I know that, so I've been traveling to a few conferences this year that was funded through our USDA APHIS grant. So if I run into you in one of those places, I'm certainly going to shove a whole bunch of swag at you. If you come to our NASMA annual conference in October, you will definitely get a whole bunch of PlayCleanGo swag. We don't currently have much of a giveaway program, but it's something that I would really like to develop in the future. So that is something we are thinking about, how we can get some free stuff out there for you all to use. So if you, and especially with our PlayCleanGo Awareness Week coming up, we may have some opportunities for that. Hold your breath, but definitely make sure you reach out and that might be the best way to get that ball rolling.
Okay. Oops, there we go. Okay, a couple things in the chat. Graphic t-shirts would be great. I know we have a couple t-shirts in the shop now. We have like a neon yellow one that stands out really well when working in the field, but love that idea. We'll look at developing more shirts.
We do have Steward. He's on some, we've got
Oh,
shirts
yeah.
and sweatshirts with Steward. Leave only footprints, I think is
Oh,
the,
that's right. Yeah, so take a look in the shop, and there's links on both NASEMA and PlayCleanGo to the shop. Okay, question about infrastructure funding. So is the infrastructure funding that you mentioned only applicable to DOI, or will it be able to be used on US Forest Service? Lindsay, do you want to chat a little bit about the different grants right now that we have going on?
yeah, so so that grant is specifically with DOI. There is an opportunity in the future, right, for some funding for Forest Service. And so that's something that we are going to look at applying to in the future. And so we also, and then again, the USDA APHIS grant, we've been receiving that funding for several years, and that has really been the bulk of the support for this program's operations.
Yes. So those that 102 that she mentioned, those are all going to DOI properties. NASEMA does have APHIS funding for PlayCleanGo that, but we don't have anything specific right now on the books for boot brush stations and Forest Service properties. But we would love to talk with you about doing that, because Forest Service is a major partner, and we'd love to get more out there. This is great. So much conversation. I love it. And lots of praise coming in, Lindsay, for a great presentation. Where are you based out of? And will you come and give this presentation in person where I live?
Well, I'm in Burlington, Vermont, so there's not a whole lot of places near here, but if you're up in Maple Country, maybe we can chat. But if you've got an opportunity for a virtual presentation, whatever it is, definitely reach out. I'd love to chat.
Okay. What about standard ads? Do you have a half a page or a full page ad that they could put in our local gardening journal? This is related to upstate New York, but maybe some things in our graphic library.
If I'm thinking about it, I can't imagine that we have a great flyer that is relevant for gardeners. So I think that is something that we can do. I think that's definitely a need that we should fill. So that's a really good suggestion. But I would definitely look through what we have available. We have a whole bunch of different flyers that you can certainly play around with. And some of them are a little bit more general with their messaging. It's not going to be like explicitly related to gardening, but check those out and see if you find what you're looking for. But gardening, I would definitely love to fill that gap, especially with our garden clubs. Like, these are people who really care about the land, right? So that's a great suggestion.
I'm just dropping an email in the chat. Yeah, Charlie, let's follow up with you on that and talk about, and then you can reach, I'm just throwing some emails in here, and then you can chat with either one of us and we'll help you out. Okay. All right. Hunter Orange shirts. Yes, Hunter Orange would be great. Do projects tied to infrastructure funding have flow down domestic sourcing requirements for things like boot brushes? That I don't know the answer to. Lindsay, do you know the answer to that?
I do not.
Okay, Kevin, I'm going to be saving that one and I'll circle back with you on that. And thanks for the tip. We will certainly reach out to americantrails.org. Thanks, Jennifer. We'll see if maybe we can do some webinars for them as well. Do we have any resources specifically geared towards education for younger audiences? So youth engagement.
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a couple of, I didn't even mention our YouTube channel. We have some videos. Yes, so we are on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, but we also have a bunch of different videos on YouTube, and they're kind of varying levels of background knowledge required, but they're fun and colorful and short, and kind of a good first step for somebody who wants to spread the message with kids.
Awesome. Yeah, and we are definitely interested in developing more youth educational materials, and we don't really have anything in our current work plans, but if there's folks watching now that are experts in that arena or that would like to volunteer to kind of help us with some of that, we've kind of been chatting with a couple folks on that piece, and the long-term vision, being able to provide youth and teacher resources. So it's in my things I'd love to do. So if there's any folks in here that do a lot of work with teachers or are more experienced with youth education, I'd love to chat with you and pick your brain and maybe work together. Oh, yay. And look at that. A volunteer just showed up in the chat. I'll be calling you. Thank you.
Boom.
See, I love these webinars. We get to really connect, and that's the great stuff. Okay, so we are out of questions at the moment. Hopefully, if you have a question lingering, please throw it up there. Thanks for the tip. Audubon societies would be great to reach out to since they are in many different
Yep.
areas. Yep. Appreciate that. And we do save these chats and we will follow up with y'all. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through right now. Thank you all for being super engaged and participating today. These are great ideas. Really excited about all these future prospects. I really appreciate all of your thoughts today.
All right. Well, I'll give you another minute for questions or comments, and then we'll wrap it up here. We are just about to the top of the hour. Let me remind you all that NASMA offers these free webinar opportunities the third Wednesday of every month. So hopefully you will join us next month. We'll be learning about ventinata, which is a noxious weed that is proving very problematic for a lot of states. And so hopefully raising some good education on that to promote early detection. And stop the spread of that nasty weed. We also have, as Lindsay mentioned, April 20th, the EdMap Summit. You can get all that information online on our website. If you've attended in the past years and you're an active user of EdMaps, you don't necessarily need to do the precursors, but if you've never worked with EdMaps before, if you haven't attended in the past years and you're new, we would love to have you. We just want you prepared. So in the chat, we dropped an opportunity for you to kind of get up to speed with an EdMaps 101 so you can really engage in the summit in April. All right, well, with that, and we are connected with Master Gardeners. I love our Master Gardeners in my hometown, in my town. They're fantastic. So thank you for that. Appreciate that tip too. We love all these great ideas. Okay, well, thank you, Lindsay. Awesome job. This was a great webinar. Really appreciate all of our participants, not just attending, but being engaged and offering good suggestions. If you have any more ideas or thoughts, or just want to chat more about the program or other things we do at NASMA, please feel free to reach out to Lindsay, PlayCleanGo at NASMA.org, or me, ebrown@NASMA.org. And you'll be seeing a lot more of Lindsay on webinars because in addition to PlayCleanGo and WorkCleanGo, she's taking leadership over our education and prevention programming. And so she's going to start doing some of these webinars as well. And we really appreciate Lindsay, her leadership and the excitement that they have for this program. So thank you, and excited to be continuing down this path. So we hope we see everybody here on a lot more webinars in the future. And with that, I think we'll call it a day. Anything else to add, Lindsay?
Nope. Thank you all again. Yeah, please be in touch.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.